Hello and welcome back to our Pokemon Showdown team building. Today we're building a team around the almighty fairy god itself, Xerneas. So that means we are jumping into the Ubers tier once more, which means we're going into a very and incredibly narrow Pokemon pool to select from, which means we're probably going to see a lot of Pokemon that we've seen on other Ubers teams I've done. But that's probably because they're the best Pokemon in Ubers, and they're the ones that are going to win us matches, so we're probably going to go with those. But when it comes to Xerneas, there's only one real overpowered moveset that I'm just going to be forced to run because it's so stupidly broken, and that's the Geomancy set. So basically, you run Geomancy, you run a Power Herb, you double your special attack, special defense, and speed, and you destroy everything. That's the plan. So we're going to be trying to do that. We're going to be running Thunderbolt to deal with Lugia, and we are also going to be running Focus Blast to deal with Steel types that might come in. This is the best coverage I feel Xerneas can get. It does get other things like Psychic and Psyshock, but that's not really going to hit too many things in Ubers. As in Ubers, Psychic hits Blaziken, which we can hit for a neutral Moonblast, and it should do relatively the same. It would hit Gengar, which, to be honest, we are pretty weak to Gengar, but generally, Gengar shouldn't be too much of an issue. What else would Psychic hit? Can I convince myself to go for it? That's about it. So basically it would only hit Gengar. So as long as we have a check to Gengar on our team, we're not really going to be too worried. So as we're running a Geomancy set, we're not going to need too much into speed. This stat's going to be doubled. We're not going to need too much into special defense. This stat's going to be doubled. So we can max its special attack pretty happily. And we can also go a lot into its defense. Not a whole bunch into his defense. I do still want to get to a point where we have like 237 speed, because this outspeeds a Pokemon with base 100 speed nature. So this is just a little bit of investment to break away from speed ties, stuff like that. And then we'll put the rest into its defense, as that's actually going to be useful. And it's probably going to be a modest nature, so we can get as much out of the special attack stat as possible. It looks like a crazy, weird EV spread, but it's hopefully going to work out for us. So when it comes to building a defensive core around Gru, Fairy typing. It's weak to Poison, it's weak to Steel. Basically, we just need a Steel type. A defensive Steel type in Ubers, you have very little options. You can have defensive Dialga, which I personally don't feel is the best, because Dialga is much better as like a Choice Specs, Draco Meteor, piece of destruction. Or you can run Aegislash, which I guess is pretty good. Or you can run Arceus Steel. These are the options. So, out of the three, I feel like the Pokemon that's going to help us the best is going to be Arceus Steel, so we're going to be taking one of these onto our team. We're going to be running Cosmic Power to buff our defenses. This is going to be physically defensive, as Steel is generally more likely to be physical. I'm expecting to see possibly a Mega Metagross, possibly an Aegislash. Don't really know what else. If it's Poison, again, I guess Gengar might be special, but if it's a Gengar, we're going to be swapping out anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And Cosmic Power allows us to buff our special defense a little bit as well. So as we have that, we're also going to be running Recover, because HP is nice. We will run Toxic, because why not poison them? And we will also need something to hit Gengar. In case we need to come in on a Gengar, we need something to hit Gengar. What move that is, however, it could be a lot of things, but I think we are just going to run Dark Pulse. Although that seems really strange when we could get Steel Stab. Do you learn Flash Cannon? You do not learn Flash... Oh, you do learn Flash Cannon. So we could either run Flash Cannon, or we could run Iron Head. And honestly, I think I'd rather go for the Flinch Chance. Yeah, we're going to run Iron Head, and we're going to run Strange Set. We are not going to be running this as special defensive. This is going to be physically defensive as much as possible. We'll keep the HP investment, because Cosmic Power is going to be buffing up our other defenses anyway. Base 120 speed. I kind of want to put 4 points in speed, just to break speed ties with other Arceus that are defensive. And a name for Arceus, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure. No, he wasn't Tim, he was Ted. I'm pretty sure I called Arceus Ted in a previous team builder. We're going to go back to that because, let's face it, Ted is a godly name. So that has to be done. Now, a defensive counterpart, especially defensive for a steel type, we're weak to ground, we're weak to fire, we're weak to fighting. So flying gets rid of the ground gives us a ground immunity. It will give us a fighting resistance, and then all we have to do is worry about fire, which doesn't seem like it should be too much of a problem. So that means we could pick up a specially defensive Lugia. I feel like I've done this every Uber's team, but there's a reason why, and that's because multiscale. It's broken. It's so broken. A Pokemon with base 154 special defense, over 100 HP, that's going to take half the attack damage from an attack. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So we're going to give it Roost. We're going to give it Toxic. We're going to give it Calm Mind. We are not going to give it Toxic. Changed my mind on that. We're going to give it Psyshock. And we're going to give it Aeroblast. Pretty basic set. Pretty sure I've ran this set before. This is all pretty much fine. I'm going to slightly decrease the amount of defense we have. Not to 1,000. If we took it to 1,000, that'd be a little bit ridiculous. But we're just going to try and break the defenses a little bit, because let's face it, Lugia doesn't need any more in his special defense. It's already got 420 special defense with just that. That's insane. And a name for Lugia. A name for Lugia. I've named this every single time I've used it, and I still don't know what I actually call it. I still don't have a set-in-stone name for Lugia, so we're going to leave that for now. But I do know you're going to be shiny, because your shiny is pink and beautiful. Now, this is where the team is going to actually get a little bit different from other teams. This is where we can start actually adapting and making things interesting, trying to counter other things in the tier, stuff like that. So first of all, I want the Pokemon that can deal with Mega Blaziken, because Mega Blaziken is freaking broken with Swords Dance Speed Boost. So we're going to think about this. We still could do with a fire resistance. Oh, everything else looks just about fine. We don't really need to worry about anything else. Mega Blaziken. What deals with Mega Blaziken? It's going to usually run a fire move, a fighting move, and probably like Poison Jab or something like that. And Protect. So it's always going to get a speed boost off. We don't need to worry about speed. There's no way we're going to outspeed it with anything unless we have like a priority Greninja with Water Shuriken, which honestly I don't think would be too great. So a Pokemon like Giratina, it's immune to fighting, it resists the fire, if it has Poison Jab it would resist it, the speed boost doesn't matter if it protects. Giratina would be pretty good. I think we're going to pick up a Giratina. We are going to pick up Lucifer the Giratina. I'm only calling it that because in my Pokemon Platinum Randomizer I called it Lucifer. It's a reference to that. I know the name is terrible. Don't worry. So we are going to give this thing leftovers. As much as I feel like we have way too many leftovers uses already, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. There's no point having telepathy. Now, what are we actually going to do with this thing? We could run Destiny Bond on it. Yes, please. That sounds fun. We can run... What else should we run? We could run Thunder Wave to paralyze... Oh, we could paralyze Mega Blaziken. And that would make it useless. That would make it absolutely useless in every way, shape, and form. So we could have Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp, Hex. And instead of Destiny Bond, as much fun as that sounds, I really want to do it. I think we're going to take Dragon Pulse just so we can have a little bit of extra damage. And we're going to make this thing HP invested, and it's also going to be our special attacker. So, yep. So far, we are running a lot of special attackers, as long as we pick up some more physical attackers though, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll put 4 points into your defense, and it looks crazy. That set looks really crazy, but you know what? It also looks really fun, so we're going to do it. Now's where we get interesting, because we have our counter to Blaziken, and now it's just pick up what you want. Pick up whatever you want to use in this tier. So, what Pokemon do I want to use? We could pick up a Mega. Mega Lucario is obviously tempting me. I do really like Lucario. But I'm not feeling it on this team. I'm not feeling it's going to be useful. It might be. It really might be. I'm not feeling it. Instead, I am feeling maybe... There really isn't a lot of options in Ubers. There really isn't. There's not a whole bunch of things. I'm thinking we could possibly take Mega Salamence, but that'd be another Dragon type, that'd be another Flying type, that just doesn't sound good. We can look at lower tiers. Let's just have a look at some of the Megas that we could take to Ubers. What would actually be viable in Ubers? So, basically, OU and above. Anything below OU generally isn't going to make it in Ubers. Not in a strong way, at least. So, there's no point in having a Mega Metagross, we already have a Steel type. We could take Mega Lopunny. That would be fast. It gets access to Fake Out, it has Scrappy to hit anything. We could take Mega Kangaskhan. We definitely have fighting resistance. We have so much fighting resistance, it's actually insane. So you know what, I think we're just going to take a Mega Kangaskhan. As broken as this Pokemon is, we are going to take it. And it's going to run Fake Out, it's going to run Double Edge, as that's the most powerful thing it can be. It's the most powerful thing ever, it's insane. We're also going to run Power Up Punch. And we are also going to run, I kind of want to say Crunch over Sucker Punch to hit Ghost types. Sucker Punch, yes, it gets priority, but there's ways around it. So if we did happen to go up against a Giratina and it was running a set like what I have with Will-O-Wisp and that, we wouldn't be able to touch it. So we're going to run Crunch. And we're going to run Mega Kangaskhan, just like that. Just going to call it Mama, because I have no name for Kangaskhan. Why would I have a name for this? I don't use this. This thing was broken in Battle Spot. And there we go. So overall, is this team really missing anything? We are missing... We have setup. We have insane setup, in fact. We have bulk. We don't have defensive physical power. Not a strong, bulky Pokemon with just an insanely high attack stat. But do we really need that? Do we really need that? You know, this is where building a team gets difficult. What do we really want to add to this team? What am I really feeling like I need to add to this team? What typing do we need? I'm tempted to say Primal Kyogre. It's incredibly strong. It has stats in the wrong places though. 150 attack. That isn't useful. That isn't useful at all. So honestly, normal Kyogre might be better if I was to run it. Really does start getting difficult here. We could pick up a Blaziken of our own. We could just pick up a standard Focus Sash Blaziken with Swords Dance. It'd be a different typing. It'd give us Fighting Stab. I think I may have just convinced myself to actually pick up a Blaziken of our own, even though we did specifically have a Pokemon in mind to deal with Blaziken. I think we're going to do it. We're going to have a Focus Sash Blaziken, Rocking Protect, and Swords Dance. So this thing is going to be a hyper setup, it feels like. And then we will run Flare Blitz. And what is your best fighting move? Do you get High Jump Kick? You do. So we can't hit Giratinas. If the enemy has a Giratina, they're probably going into it, but we can keep that in mind. And I think we have just made an incredibly strong team. So, you're KFC. There's no denying that. You are actually KFC. And a name for Lugia. What do we want to call a Lugia? What would we really want to call a Lugia? This is difficult. If anyone has any good names for Lugias, I'm in dire need of one. If you would like to point one out to me, that would be great. I would love a name for Lugia, because honestly, I am drawing a blank. You know what? I think I've got it. I'm going to hate myself for doing this, but I'm going to swap two of the letters around, and it's just going to be called Luigi. Did I actually just spell that right? Luigi. Yeah. I think that's right. Why am I struggling to spell this? And I'm not swapping letters around because there isn't an A there. What am I on about? The letters are not changed a whole bunch. That's what I meant to say. So we have a disgusting Pokemon right here with a disgusting name. We're going to ignore that as much as possible. And I think this is actually going to be our team. So we have support, we have special defensive wall, we have a defensive wall, we have hyper setup in a lot of Pokemon, we have pure offense. This team looks pretty good. So if you guys have enjoyed me making this horrific team builder right here, leave a like down below, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, bye!